Hi, I'm Shotgun from Y100, and I'd like to welcome you to the Golden Connections podcast, where we share information about Golden House, domestic violence topics, and spotlight our board members and supporters. Thank you for listening and supporting Golden House in our mission to provide safety and support for victims of domestic abuse, while leading efforts to end domestic violence in our community. And now, please welcome your hosts, John Kirsch and Chris Walls.
Hey, Chris, how are you?
Doing good, John. Doing good job. How about yourself?
All right, really good. Really happy to kick off episode 2 here of the Golden Connections podcast. So our second one is seeing leaps and bounds of improvement. So super excited here as we go along. Happy to get things kicked off here. So February, I feel like the year's moving by pretty quick already. A lot going on. So I saw you had some activities earlier this month, doing some speaking, dunking some basketballs. What have you got going on over the last month here?
It's been a crazy busy first 15 days of the month. So yeah, I had the opportunity to perform at Bucks halftime with the Rim Rockers. So that was really, really fun. I was an original Rim Rocker, so 20 years of us doing that and being able to be with that young, talented group today and all the generations in between. It was really, really fun. So that was on this past Monday. And then I was fortunate enough to go to a Black History Month speaking event held by the YMCA. They had an amazing panel of professionals and really good turnout and some amazing soul food. And did a couple other speaking engagements throughout the month as well. And just, being busy with sports and kids, as are you. It's been a fun and fast, interesting 15 days of the month so far.
Yeah, awesome. Well, yeah, I saw the speaking engagements. Awesome for you to be a part of that and kind of give back and share some of your knowledge. So thanks for doing that.
Thank you. How about you, John? How's your month been?
Yeah, I would agree as well. I didn't dunk at all this month, so not quite there. But yeah, we've just a number of work things that have gone really well. I won't get into too many details around that. Personal, probably the most exciting. It's officially social media official, so I'm going to be a grandpa. So my daughter announced it online now, so I can share it with everybody. But yeah, a lot of excitement there coming up this summer. So more fun to come in that area. That's about the best news I can share.
That's super exciting, man. Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah, and speaking of her, so my daughter is Tay, who does music and musical performances. So I do want to do a shout out and thank you as our new intro. If everybody just heard that, Tay's music in the background, Maggie Sue, is a song that she wrote and actually donated the proceeds back to Golden House when she wrote it a few years back. And she allowed us to use the musical part of that as the background for our intro, and also was part of the outro part of our podcast here. And then thank you to Shotgun from Y100, who gave us a nice professional recording. Got to hear my name, Chris, announced as the host here. So that gets me pretty pumped up as well.
Likewise. Thank you both for your contributions.
Yeah, so I'll just mention as we kind of kick off again, we're starting this up, episode 2 here. There's plenty of opportunities to get involved. If you're interested, if companies are interested in some sponsorship opportunities, please reach out. We are happy to build this up more and more, again, as a place to connect with the community, our supporters, share information. So if you have an interest to get involved, company-wise, individual-wise, please reach out. You can find my contact information on the Golden House website, goldenhousegb.org, under the board, or contact us. And happy to get folks involved here. All right. So as we had last time, we're going to keep a similar structure here. We're going to start off with just some Golden House news and events and things that are going on right now or coming up, especially. So I want to mention a few things. One of the big ones, Give Big, is going on February 21st to 22nd. So Give Big is a great community event spotlighting a number of of nonprofits in the area, and we're super excited to be part of that this year again. And so you can find our information on the Give Big website. We can only donate. So it's a donate and a match from the Greater Green Bay Community Fund, and Green Bay Packers are involved in it. So a lot of great support that happens for the community here, but it only is from noon to noon on February 21st through the 22nd. So you can go out and check out the page now, see all the organizations, including ours. Some of our board members and other supporters have set up personal pages, kind of trying to be a little bit competitive maybe and raise some funds under our names there. So go ahead and check that out. Check out some information about our organization and individuals there too. And please consider a donation coming up the 21st and 22nd. So very cool to be part of that. And then following up the next month in April, we have our annual Phone-a-thon event. So that is an event. If you've been a part before, we start sending out our postcards around this time, and you get that information of when it is, which will be April 13th. And then again, our board members or other supporters that have volunteered will make phone calls on the 13th. And asking for those to donate if you're interested in the Phone-a-thon donation. But as much as that, I love connecting with people that have donated or know Golden House or have feedback for us. It's really an uplifting event to talk to those that have been a supporter and just get to chat, whether we share some information of what we're doing or just hearing some of the feedback and why people choose to support Golden House. So love to get people on the phone during that time and chatting and connecting as well. So again, April 13th, that's coming up. We do have some spots if you really like to talk on the phone. Again, this is not cold calling. We're talking to our supporters and people we're connected with. If you're really good at that, really like doing that, we just might have a spot for you to help out there too. So again, reach out if you're really interested in getting involved there. A couple of other quick things. So we have our Wish List Wednesday that goes out. So we have our newsletter and our website where we have this stuff posted. And one of the things we've posted, as well as Facebook, I'll mention, is that we have a meal train going on with the new building and things kind of still getting set up. It's helped out a ton for either individuals or organizations to donate meals and prepare those and kind of drop those off and allow that to be available for those staying in shelter and have a good kind of home cooked meal available and food there. So we do have a meal train set up. There's a website and links on there to sign up and to be able to donate a meal and drop that off and supply that for those staying in shelter. So I'll try to put a link up here as well for that. But the easiest way I've found is if you go find our Facebook page, we have a number of posts on there. You can find the meal train link that's on there and be able to sign up for one of those if you're interested. So that's been a great blessing for a number of organizations and individuals. Some have done multiple already this year. So really great support. But we could use a few more people if you're interested in good at cooking. Feel free to share that with others here too. And then the last kind of announcement here that I have for this time is we do have a number of open positions right now. So if you're interested or know somebody who's interested to get involved in one of these just vital positions that are at Golden House and helping support, we have positions open for overnight advocates, housing advocates. We actually have 2 positions open for that, as well as 2 weekend advocates. So those are really important positions here as we have 24-hour staff basically helping advocates work with clients and those in need. So if you are interested or know somebody, again, you can navigate through our website to find information about that, or Stephanie leads that from our team. So Stephanie@goldenhousegb.org is her email address, and you can send an email off and ask for more information about that. So those are some of the key information.
And now we'd like to welcome Jen to the podcast. She's our outreach manager, and she's going to touch base on the DV topic of the month. Hey, Jen, thanks so much for joining us today. Would love for you to give a little background and tell us a little bit about the DV topic of the month, if you wouldn't mind.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. So this month, it is Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. So with Golden House, what we do is we actually provide a few different services. It's not just our in-house advocacy levels, but we try to provide some wraparound services as well. So we currently have programming in area high schools, colleges, transitional schools, even at the Juvenile Detention Center, trying to get the information about awareness regarding abuse and the different dynamics of it as well, hoping that we can prevent young individuals from being in that circumstance. Recognizing that teen dating violence is very, very prevalent. They're one of the top targeted age ranges. And there's 4 different ways that intimate partner violence can occur within a dating relationship. So when you look at the age range of 18 to 24, not having more life experiences or not recognizing what some of those red flags may be, I'm a little more susceptible for falling as a victim to those types of abuse. The 4 different types would be like physical violence, sexual violence, psychological aggression, and stalking. When any form of dating violence is perpetrated using forms of technology, such as messaging and social media, that is referred to as cyber dating violence. So we're seeing that being utilized even more and more with various different social media platforms. Examples would include sending sexual pictures of a dating partner to others without consent, or sending or posting insulting or threatening messages and sharing negative rumors about this person. So realizing that roughly 1.5 million high school boys and girls in the US admit to being intentionally hit or physically harmed in the last year by someone that they're romantically involved with, realizing that that's a huge issue. The CDC Kaiser Permanente Adverse Childhood Experiences Study is one of the largest investigations of childhood abuse and neglect, including household challenges and later life health and well-being. So these adverse childhood experiences, if you have experienced teen dating violence, that is considered a major adverse childhood experience. So teens who suffer dating abuse, they're subject to long-term consequences like alcoholism, eating disorders, promiscuity, thoughts of suicide, and other violent behaviors. 1 in 3 young people will be in an abusive relationship or an unhealthy relationship. 33% of adolescents in America are victim to sexual, physical, verbal, or emotional dating abuse. In the US, 25% of high school girls have been abused physically or sexually. Teen girls who are abused this way are 6 times more likely to become pregnant or contract a sexually transmitted disease. Females between the ages of 16 and 24 are roughly 3 times more likely than the rest of the population to be abused by an intimate partner. So violent behavior often begins between 6th and 12th grade, and approximately 72% of 13 and 14-year-olds are dating at this point. And I wouldn't even be surprised if that has increased. These numbers are from 2 to 3 years ago already. So, and when you add that in, like I said, if you don't have those life experiences and not realizing what those red flags are, think about that age range. You kind of think all about the world at that age. And unfortunately, you haven't had the experiences to know what some of those negative signs are. 50% of young people who experience rape or physical or sexual abuse will attempt to commit suicide. And only approximately 1/3 of teens who are involved in an abusive relationship confided in someone about the violence. So recognizing that those conversations are not easy conversations to have. So that is part of the reason why Golden House has gone in to create presentations within that age range, that high school level, to have them be very aware of what resources are available in their area. And even if, say, you're outside of the greater Green Bay area, we cover mainly Brown County, but we have no problem putting people in touch with the resources in their area. We're kind of like that you can call and ask any question on our behalf, because most DV agencies provide very similar services as to what we do. So the whole basis is getting out there and really educating people about how they can safely remove themselves from that circumstance, because that breakup time, that's the most volatile time, most emotions that are involved. recognizing that there are resources to help create those safety plans. Or let's say you're experiencing that one of your friends is going through that type of a situation. Where you witness something happening at a social event, how can you be a bystander, a pro-social bystander, and in a safe manner? Because even as adults, that's not easy. When you see those types of things taking place, how do you reach out and mention it to someone and bring up that conversation to try to support them? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard some of these numbers before being involved in Golden House. No matter how many times I hear some of that, like it's staggering. I'm sure some folks listening right now, listening to that and just hearing some of that maybe for the first time is it's staggering just to kind of comprehend and think about that. And then I think it's so important, and thanks for sharing that. Like, these services are not just going on this time of year, just in February, but this is kind of the month to try to have some extra awareness and raising the awareness and topic discussion here, right, Jen, of some of these activities that are going on year round for
Absolutely.
Golden House.
Absolutely. Especially because a lot of times you realize that the situation is often people don't even realize they're experiencing abuse. And that's on a teen through adult level. So having those conversations and being open and available, it's also a very frustrating age. That teenage age is frustrating because teenagers are expected to have a lot of adult-like responsibilities, but they don't have all of their adult rights at that point in time. So there are a lot of ways that agencies such as ours through Golden House can help facilitate putting them in touch with the right help, all the way down to we have therapists that are on site that our services are completely free. So that ongoing treatment and support, even if it's very bare basic connections of a safety plan, there's multiple levels of support that we can offer to an individual that's experienced abuse.
Right. Well, thank you so much for sharing, some of those details, some of the activities and work, that's going on. We mentioned that in the first episode. I think, recurring theme of one of the things message wise to share with the community is, some of the non-shelter type activities, because a lot of times we see the building and we think of Golden House as, a shelter, and obviously that's a key part of the services here, but so much more going on with all of these outreach and awareness programs that are just so vital to the community.
Absolutely. In fact, I know a lot of people refer, even before I started for Golden House, I thought that the main portion was our emergency shelter, but that's really only about 25% of what we do. So it's anywhere from safety planning, assisting people with the paperwork for restraining orders, harassment orders, being that level of emotional support in court systems. We have a children's therapist, an adults therapist. And like I say, we have a support group. There's a variety of things. It might even be helping with applying for their own housing. There's any way that we can try to reduce barriers that people face when they're trying to leave that unsafe circumstance. That is the overall goal of our agency.
All right. Well, thank you again. Thank you so much for sharing some information. Thank you for what you do on a daily basis for the clients, for Golden House, and for the community. So thank you again, Jen, and thanks for being
thanks
part of the
for having
podcast.
me to share. I'm sorry.
Jen, we really appreciate the education and the time. Thank you so much.
No problem. You guys have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You too.
Well, John, this takes us to my favorite part of our podcast. It's the spotlight, the board member spotlight section portion of our podcast. And today we have the privilege of interviewing yourself. So I'm excited to ask you some questions, get the audience a chance to learn a little bit more about you and your background, and talk about kind of like your passions outside of volunteering here, but what you're passionate about outside of this as well. So if you're okay with it, love to jump into some questions for you.
Yeah, we'll spin the spotlight around on me this month, I guess.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's kick off, John, by asking, can you tell us a little bit about your background, where you're from, and maybe also when you give us that background on where you're from, how you got involved first with the Golden House?
Yeah, so I'm from the area. I actually went to high school in Bonduel, so small town. Grew up out in the country. My dad was a truck driver, but also helped my uncle a lot on the farm, and we kind of had our own hobby farm growing up as well. So definitely a country, not quite a farm boy, but I guess a little close to that. Yeah, I grew up with my parents by Bonduel. One sister who's older than me, so I'm the baby of the family. But that I mentioned that it's such a key part of who I am. My parents were hardworking. Just whatever needed for the family type people. It was just a great household, great environment, great support. All the way to now. Anything with the grandkids now, my kids going on. My parents are happy to be there and stuff like that. So great childhood, great memories leading into, staying around the area. I went to NWTC, didn't want to go to a four-year college, wanted to learn technology, IT, and start working as quick as I could, because that's kind of my mentality, of hardworking and kind of getting involved. And so I did that, and eventually met my wife here in Green Bay, and we now have 5 kids. So fast forward a lot down the road here. So we're pretty busy with anything the kids have going on. A lot of sports, a lot of music, a lot of involvement, and just overall busy, good household. A lot going on. I still try to get some hobbies in. So I try to play basketball enough. I play guitar in the basement mostly, maybe around a campfire or something going on, but more so listening to my daughter's music and other music concerts and stuff like to do as well. Just kind of transitioning to what you asked then too, how did I get involved in Golden House? My oldest daughter was exposed to domestic violence when she was around 19, 20 years old. And so obviously, a bad experience, being exposed, dealing with that. There certainly was the physical part of it, but the emotional part of it is what kind of sticks around longer, and what I've learned getting involved here more. But we dealt with that, and shortly after, actually one of her music events that was after that I was at with her, I told her I want to get involved and give back, because she got support from Golden House during the time that she was going through it. And even at that early time, I mean, we're talking kind of weeks after she removed herself from the dangerous situation she was in and stuff, she said, I like that idea. I think I would too at some point. And so she eventually has been, I mentioned the Maggie Sue song. She donated some of the revenue from that, really all the proceeds when she first released that, back to Golden House. She's talked about, her experiences at a number of events that she has been, playing music at and stuff, and had people come up and talk to her after and share stories and thank her. So she's been involved, in her own way, in her own personal way. And that got me to talking to the executive director at the time, Karen, and there were board member openings, and I guess kind of the rest is history, or living history right now, as I'm still involved in it. But just been kind of getting more and more involved ever since.
Well, that's a compelling why, and I can respect it, and I can relate to it. As a couple of my family members face some difficult situations, and I always talked about giving back. So I'm excited to be a part of this podcast, and I get a chance to be on the front lines and ask some really good questions and learn more about other of the team members' whys and kind of what they're passionate about outside of this as well. So can you tell us a little bit about your involvement with the committee, and maybe what your day-to-day looks like for your service that you provide with the Golden House?
Yeah, so it's it's a little different for everybody, and it's been different over my time. There's certainly a period as you first come on the board, where if you're like me at least, I was new to it, right? So again, I had a great upbringing. I don't remember directly exposed or knowing anybody facing that in my childhood at all, and so it really felt like the first exposure to it was when I found out my daughter was going through it. And so I learned a ton spending time with her, even at Golden House, going through that as she was getting, some of the help from advocates. So part of my beginning was, hearing some of the events and things that were going on at Golden House, kind of getting some information, which I think is pretty normal. And then getting involved in a couple of committees early on and just kind of helping out where I could. And then as things progressed, I've been vice president. So the typical role is 2 years as vice president and then 2 years as president. And so ours is a little bit different because we went through the capital campaign in the middle of it. So I had my years kind of switched around as 3 and 1. But I've been, involved on the executive committee here now for the past, it'll be my 4th year kind of in motion right now. And, that means just a little bit more involvement in, in running some of the meetings but it's such a rewarding experience in the end of, hearing some of the stories, some of the processes and things that Jen was talking about going on, just seeing and hearing some of the feedback from clients that have come through and some of the thank yous. I mean, it's just amazing work. And, we're not doing that as a board, but just even being able to support that and see and hear about that amazing work going on. It's, even if we didn't have the background experience, like like I had with my daughter, it's easy to hear and understand what an impact it is. We have so many needs and talents that fit together so well on the board to give different aspects back and help out. If anybody has a question about it, can my talents be used or how can I fit in? I'm 100% sure they can. And, it's just a matter of kind of, getting that exposure and then finding out where there's a good fit.
Perfect. John, would you mind maybe giving us a little background on your professional background as far as what you're doing for your 9 to 5, your Clark Kent job, when you're not doing the great work and wonderful work you're doing with the Golden House?
Yeah, I get a little bit of experience now of me, of us asking questions of what it's like to have it spun around and asked. So this is kind of interesting, but I joke that I have the best of both excitements, right? IT and accounting is my background. So my wife's a lucky lady, right? There was a lot of excitement there, but I went to school, as I mentioned, originally for IT and got really involved in really all aspects of the businesses that I worked in, which got me heavily involved in the accounting side as well as I supported the IT systems, the accounting software. And so eventually I went back to school, went to Lakeland for accounting as well. So I ended up moving into some different IT and accounting blended roles over time. So a number of different ones that I've gone through. Right now I'm a consultant. I do ERP software, Microsoft software. I help clients with basically anything they need with their accounting software, training, support, troubleshooting, as well as helping our internal team in leading the product line for the GP software that I work with.
Excellent. Thank you for that background. Are you versed in Business Central by chance?
Yeah, so that's kind of the newer wave for small business on the Microsoft side. If you need help with that, I spend a smaller part of my time on that right now, which is growing. But if anybody has questions, I can give my sales pitch on that too if we want.
We'll take time
after.
I was going to say I'll take some time after the podcast and pick your ear on that. Thank you for the background. It's helpful. I can completely relate and comply with your background as far as the finance side and the technology side. I also have a technology side as well, so I get it. And it's not the most attractive part of a profession, but like you said, your wife is definitely lucky to have you. Likewise with my wife, right? Would you mind maybe dabbing into or giving us a little preview about your leadership style? How do you approach leadership, and what do you like most about it, and what are maybe the grievances that you have as well?
Yeah, I've learned a lot over time, I would say, in my leadership style, and my natural personality, I would say, going back to is a kid even, right? So I think a lot of that carries forward, and I'm a naturally competitive person. And so, when you think about competitive, a lot of times that's win or loss, right? And I played a lot of sports growing up. I, did a lot of that. And that I've realized looking back and what I've learned over time is, you kind of start with what you know. And I feel like that was a key part of it. But I also had a lot of, listening to other people and, respecting other people, and was a huge part of my upbringing, like I mentioned too. And so, I was able to blend that without knowing that, I think early on when I got into leadership positions, and, able to kind of adapt and learn though over time. And I really now look at things that I have to kind of almost fight my nature, because the win and loss thing is out the door for me. When we talk about business, it's not a win or loss. It's an infinite game. If I talk about some of the other uh, you know speakers and authors that I have followed now too. And so, thinking of things as wins and losses are the wrong way to go about business. It's really about, growing and momentum and involving others. And so I feel like I've almost flipped my natural, tendencies from when I was young to my style now. So I really think the leadership part of it is a bit of modeling, a bit of connecting, but it's really about having dialogue, having goals, working together, and coming to an outcome. And um, keeping working through that time and time again sometimes, or just over time of just continuing that positive momentum. So um, I'm obviously not an author myself trying to explain that. I just think it's one of those things of, when you work with teams, when you work with people, you just got to be able to connect. You got to be able to communicate with them openly, and, just be on the same page. Then we can have discussions. Whether we agree or not is perfectly fine, as long as we know what the move forward is. We can learn from each other and go forward with it. So it's a very open, communicative style, is how I guess I would briefly sum that up. The connection, the people side of it is just the key part of it all.
No, thank you. Great. Um, I got about three more questions, and then I'd like to jump into some like fun questions, some like here or there questions. So, if you could sum up your childhood, your favorite childhood memory into one small example, what would that be?
Yeah, we asked some of these questions last month. I should have thought about them ahead of time, but I really did. I don't know if it's one specific one. I guess I go back to something we do with the kids right now, um, which is camping. When you just said that, I can actually think of one, which I won't go into all the details of that specific camping trip. But one of those things that it really just is an overarching memory of year over year. We had a group of other families that we went camping with, and every year we went for about a week or so. They weren't roughing it camping necessarily. We all had campers, so we were pretty comfortable in doing it, and would have campfires and sit around and talk and, play games with the other kids and stuff like that. So, that just jumps out as kind of the fun side of it. The other side of it, I do think of, again, we worked on, it was part of my uncle's farm, but we had a hobby farm. We think about the kind of structure that we had, and I think about it with my kids, because we don't quite have those type of chores to do right now. But we had responsibilities to take care of those animals, to take care of that, and we just, we work to get that done, and then have our night to relax or go do fun things or whatever after that. But I do think I learned a lot from that experience, that responsibility too. So a couple of things that jump out to me when you ask that question.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks for sharing. I think they call that the proper term for that, John, is glamping, not camping.
Yeah, we're definitely even higher on that scale right now with our current camper than our old pop-up one that we had back then. That wasn't too fancy, but it still wasn't sleeping outside. So
No doubt. No doubt. If you had to give us a favorite destination or favorite place to go on vacation, what would that be for you?
yeah, the good news on that one is my wife and I are really in sync on that. So it can be it's a beach somewhere, right? It's not necessarily one particular one, but a nice beach, warm, sit out in the sun, swim in the ocean or whatever. So it's not a particular spot, but it's that. And we both agree on that. So picking a vacation and trying to decide makes that whole lot easier than maybe trying to see who wants to go to their favorite spot.
No, my wife's in the same realm as you folks. She definitely likes to get to a beach and preferably an ocean if possible. If you had to pick an achievement that you're most proud of, whether that's a professional or personal, what would that be?
Yeah, again, I don't know that I point to one particular moment, but to me, it would be just our family and, where we're at, being successful. I mean, individually, I think, my wife and I both have had a lot of successes, are successful with what we're doing. Our kids have done, amazing things. They've done, what is age appropriate, right? For each one of them and going through and having accomplishments too. But you look back and, just, it's kind of, I guess, reflecting back to my childhood too, not one particular thing, but, just being successful, good people, good respected people in the community, with family, with friends. That's really the most important thing. There's plenty of trophies and awards and things like that, but in the end, I think again the connection with people and the individuals and in community are the things. So I just look at having a healthy, loving family is about as successful of of accomplishment as you could have, I guess.
I have to concur with you, my friend. If I look back at it on myself and I think about accolades and trophies and professional recognition, most proud of my family, most happy with my family, and hopefully that's always the case. But no, I appreciate that answer. For this next segment of questions, I'm going to do a little bit more of like a rapid fire, ask you like this or that, or ask you to give a specific example. Let's start off with something fun like Star Wars or Star Trek.
Well, that's easy. It's Star Wars. Like,
Okay.
I've barely watched any Star Trek, so maybe it's just exposure, but
If you had one superpower or it could be a specific superhero, who would it be and why?
superpower. Yeah, I just gonna go with what jumps into my head. I mean, just to be able to get around and fly. I mean, I kind of think of Superman, but just the flying aspect, to be able to go where you want to go, get around. You know, how cool would that be to be flying up in the air and be able to get where you want to go? So that's what pops into my mind.
Yeah, and you do kind of have that Clark Kent vibe that you give off, a little bit dark hair, dark features. Now I could appreciate that. Um, what's the last picture in your phone?
Can I look right now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right,
You don't have to
let's see.
share it with us, but just give us a synopsis so we can kind of paint a picture.
You want to know how funny this is? It's literally the balance of my daughter's checking account so that I could send it to her off of the computer so she knew what it was. And there's not much in that account right now. So let me just tell you that. So and the one before that I just saw as it popped up was the outlet at my older daughter's duplex that she just moved into because it needed to get fixed. So that's how exciting my photos are right now.
No, for sure. So I got another one for you here. Would you relive your days in high school if you could?
I mean, I would say yes, as far as the just the fun aspect of it. I mean, I have good memories of high school. Uh, you know, to maybe just go back in time for a while and just have the kind of no responsibilities, or very limited compared to what adult life is, right? So just to kind of be able to relax that way for a little period of time and do that. I mean, I have good memories of high school, so I wouldn't have a problem doing that.
I think that's fair. All right. So the big question, are you a cat or a dog guy?
Dog.
Dog.
I mean,
All
we
right.
don't have much choice around here, anyways. My wife's allergic to cats, so we're not going to have a cat around here. A good trained dog, and a good friend to have around with it. It's definitely a dog person.
So I can see the pros and cons of both, right? The fact that cats eat mice, that they eat spiders, right? The things you don't like. But they're just not as friendly or welcoming as dogs, right? Like, if you had to pick an actor that would play you in a movie about your life, who would that be?
So the one when I was a little bit younger, I don't know if he's technically an actor, but I got some Carson Daly comparisons back when I was younger. So I guess that's the name that jumps into my mind. I don't know that he's really an actor as much as a kind of a DJ announcer, but we'll go with it.
No worries, no worries. I think I could see it too from probably when you're a little younger. What's your
That might,
favorite sports
that
team?
might date me a little bit because I don't know how much he's around right now, but
We might have to Google image of him most recently, see if he looks a lot more like you or older now. If you had to pick, what's your favorite sports team and why?
So I grew up as a 49er fan, so I would probably still stick with that. Coming off the Super Bowl loss right now
Gonna
too,
say,
though.
it might be too early.
Yeah, but it's kind of funny. Me and one of my good friends, Dan, growing up, just loved the 49ers and followed them. It was Joe Montana era and Jerry Rice and everything. And when I just say that, I think of the memory. Like we watched the Bengals 49ers Super Bowl together at his house, and when the Bengals were running back that kickoff return for a touchdown in that game, like he ran up to the TV and shut the TV off. So we didn't even see them actually score because he had shut the TV off. But it's a pretty funny memory now that the 49ers went on to win it anyways. But yeah, he and I were just kind of big 49er fans together and stuck with it over all the years. So.
All right, I got a couple quick ones then. If you would you rather have more time or more money?
More time. That's an easy one.
Smart response, yeah.
That one's the easiest question you asked the whole time.
For sure. How many states have you visited?
That's a good question. I kind of have tracked to a certain degree. I haven't like literally listed them out. I think I'm about halfway, probably a little past halfway of all the states. So I don't know. It's probably close to 30, but I really haven't listed them all out.
Fair. That's awesome. It means you're well traveled. If you could leave us with a personal message or something that you'd like to share about the Golden House and your experience, one small nugget, be a great way to kind of sum up our time together. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. I mean, I think I share some of this. It's just such an amazing organization. I go back to when I talk about it to see the services that are provided at no cost for people when they absolutely need them is just the most remarkable thing. I've seen it personally again with my daughter. I've seen and heard feedback and things like that of others that have gone through, and it's just amazing services. But my message even beyond that is, when I talk about, I do share when I go and do speaking events and things like that I'm involved in Golden House and what I do here. But at the same time, I think it's important for everybody just to really be involved. Pick something that is meaningful to you, though. Like if it's if it's not Golden House, it's not domestic violence topics. It's whatever that is. Give back the way that you're really motivated and want to be involved, and find that it's so rewarding. It's more rewarding, whatever that means too. If it's time, if it's donation of money, or things that are needed or whatever, it's so rewarding in the end. Going to that time or money question, I mean, you can kind of lump it into that is giving back in the way that you can is just that payback is more than tenfold. I don't even know how to describe it. So that's my main message is find what is meaningful for you and give back, but it returns it back right back to yourself in the end. So I highly encourage everybody to try it. Try it small. Start out with whatever that might be if you're not doing something right now.
No, I appreciate that. If I did the sum that up, it's just find your passion and dive all in. That's what I got out of your message and your answer, and I love it and respect it. Truly appreciate the time you've given us today, John. It was great being able to interview you and get to learn a little bit more about your background and your passions and your professionalism. And I'm really grateful to have you as my my spotlight today.
Well, thanks. Now I have a little more respect for everybody. Not that I didn't have respect before, but what you go through of having that light shine on you and answer these questions in a hurry. So I completely understand it. But yeah, thanks for running the spotlight portion of it here, Chris. Just finish up here and wrap up our episode 2. And want to again thank everybody that stuck with us here. Lots of opportunities, lots of great things happening at Golden House. So want to thank everybody again for viewing this and sticking with us, and looking forward to many more, and keep this podcast rolling along here.